Alrighty, and we are back. This time, it is the back nine of the 2021 Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship Round 2. And Elaine, Paige is putting on a show, but Valerie's trying to catch her.
She is. I'm really impressed with the way that Valerie is controlling her disc and the putts that we've seen out of her. 45 footers.
Yeah.
There've been a couple of those already.
Clean, firm, confident. She's going to look to keep that going on hole 10. This one, 549-foot par 4. It's really a horseshoe of inbounds around a sea of out of bounds.
Exactly. It's like, here's a beautiful, wide open field. Let's play around the periphery of it.
But I think it does set up for a great hole. Very touchy off the tee. You can't really get too aggressive. You want to just play it safe. And that second shot is where you're going to make your money. You got to carry that OB lightly.
It's not hard to get a 3 if you really practice it and you understand where you need to put your drive.
Yes. I think this is very much like a discipline hole. Like, stick to the game plan. Don't try and do too much, and it'll really punish you. Yeah, she was trying to chunk off a big gap there.
Yeah, you have to pick the space between the trees. And it just doesn't pay off to get more aggressive. And what's it going to get you? You know, even a weenie arm like me can get a 3 on this hole. So unless you're going to go for the pin, the 550 feet, you might as well just play a safe shot.
Yes, and we saw Valerie putting herself in pretty good position, a little bit on the left side of the fairway, but I think that's the good spot to be.
Exactly. It's a weird hole. You just feel like you're throwing for the sidewalk, and then you throw the shot that you know you've practiced, and you go, but I'm not even throwing it anywhere close to the basket. I'm throwing it like way far away from the basket.
It is a strange feeling. Like in the woods, if it's a par 4 that reaches all the way around the left, as Heather got a kick out of that little roll, you know, it feels more natural shooting down the tunnel and working your way around. But on a big wide open hole, to throw 90 degrees left of the pin is kind of a strange feeling.
Yeah, and that's why, as you say, it takes discipline to just play the shot that you know you're supposed to play and let your head rule your actions. Stop.
Game of inches, Elaine.
Yeah.
Ugh.
She really tried. I mean, it's a tough sidearm layup.
Yeah, the backhand probably plays a little bit more naturally, you know, hang it over the OB and drop it in. The sidearm, really touchy shot. Ooh. So she didn't feel like she was in position, so she is just going to play it safe.
She's playing for a par. And that is Heather's strong point of her game. She doesn't go, oh, but I really want the birdie. I'm going to go for it. Yes. And it's so hard to have that discipline.
Yeah, I think she's so good about sticking to the game plan and not letting other shots affect her. She knows her game, and she knows how to play her game.
And when you have card mates that do stuff like this, just throw it, hitting the bricks under the pin on their second shot, it's hard to make yourself lay up for something that, like, maybe you could have got there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And now we're seeing Paige, you know, pay the price for trying to get a little aggressive off the tee. Throwing 3 here from the drop zone, but I'm expecting her to get up and down.
If the disc stops,
it
and
does.
It checks up nicely.
Well inside the circle, it should be at least a par save, so not all is lost after the OB stroke.
Sarah looking to follow that disc, but boy, she turns it over and she is short.
Kind of burned it into the ground. And she just has to, you know, get back on the horse, though, and execute another shot from this drop zone.
And the thing about playing all along these next couple of holes is where she is standing right now doesn't necessarily tell her what the wind is doing by the basket.
Yes, very true. These 10, 11, 12, 13 all are into the prevailing winds. I think we're likely to get a headwind on a couple of them, but like you said, this place shifts, it changes, it swirls from one part of the fairway to the other.
Yeah, we've got the Coliseum, we've got that grove of trees, as you can see. There's going to be other large features of these holes. That was totally in. Don't panic. That really shift the wind around and make it swirl.
Like you said, she is in for the par, even though it was a little low left. But hey, low left catches pretty much every time. Sarah, you can see a little bit of a tailwind. Probably going to, well,
Is it a tailwind? It's hard to tell.
I know. Every 10 seconds it seems like it switches. But regardless, she is in for the double bogey. Whew, that second shot out of bounds, really a game killer, you know?
That really hurts.
Yeah. Valerie's just going straight climbing chalk on the hands. Whoa.
It just didn't get up. Like she looked like she just didn't complete her motion. She didn't stretch out towards the basket. An uncharacteristic miss.
And hey, there you go. Chip, 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 par. And she's picking up strokes. So 3 pars and the double bogey, I do believe. Yeah, so 2-stroke swing from the rest of the card over to Sarah. Puts her 3 over for the round. 6 back of Paige from the start of hole 1.
And hole 11, here's another hole where you've got this hedgerow on the right that shelters you largely from the wind that could be coming right to left. And as you notice, the slope of the land plays with the wind too. Now we get out here and there's can be a blast of wind from around the Coliseum, and then an even more extreme slope. So I have found hole 11 to be the hardest hole in terms of the wind. From place to place along the fairway, it seems to be potentially going from completely different directions.
My guess is that we're going to see 4 pretty safe plays off to this low left side, but, you know, you never know. Someone could try to... Oof, that's perfect. A little close, but that's perfect. So it should be noted, this is Hazard that is lining the fairway. Hole 10, OB everywhere. This one Hazard, so, you know, you're not going to have to do the stroke and distance thing. You're going to be able to play it from where it lies, fortunately.
And we'll see, as you say, the women... Well...
Valerie
didn't listen to you. She is just blasting it along that high spine. That is an area of inbounds.
Aggressive shot, but I think she's going to be rewarded. Being on that high side really takes that second shot and drops a lot of the distance off, even though, you know, the angle throwing over that hill is a little tough.
Well, she has her choice of sidearm or backhand. And Heather cannot have her disc land in the hedge. And very wisely, she's throwing it to layup. Although I think that was a bunch shorter than she had hoped.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Sarah going to another sidearm, as is tradition.
So she's also pushing it way out to the left there, and that's a stronger throw.
Perfect.
Nicely in position.
Yeah, well thrown by Sarah. You could see just getting it in the air, and that's the difference. You know, Heather kind of burned it into the ground a little bit, and oh, nice. She's throwing the Luke Humphreys good boy stamp. Shouts to Hogan, the goodest boy. Get over it. Whew.
Just barely.
Barely.
You know, it's not that great a distance, but somehow it's really hard. It's uphill, and your disc seems to be able to get stalled by the wind somehow.
Yeah,
no matter what way the wind is going.
Ooh, Paige.
And Paige knew that she released it a little bit early.
She has found the hazard, unfortunately, and that's, I don't know, 75, well outside circle two for her par save. I like this. Shooting it down the hill with the overstable disc, letting it roll right back in.
And towards the basket a little bit.
Great. Inside circle one. She's looking at a birdie.
And now we reach Valerie's disc. She's electing to go backhand.
I like this shot. Play the angle of the hill.
It can tend to skip down, but she controlled it really nicely.
I think that's one of the tried and true measures of a pro, of a great disc golfer, is matching the angle on those slopes. You know, you'd think the hill goes right to left, so let's throw a sidearm to be a little safer into the hill, but the backhand matching the hillside, so important. Paige now, really a long one to save for par. Oh, Paige making it happen.
And that was dead in the heart of the chase.
Yeah, that's the Paige we know. She gets such good loft on those long putts. Keeps it in the air for so long.
And I really like her jump putt. She doesn't change her style very much.
Sarah going with that nose down. A little bit of a headwind, I believe, is what we're looking at off the flag there. So, you know, the nose down putt, like you said, into a headwind is going to drop it. Valerie now looking for her birdie opportunity. Ooh.
She thought she had it.
Yeah, it kind of looked good to me, too.
I think it ended up hyzering more than she expected, and I don't know if that was her release angle or the wind.
Yeah, hard to say. I mean, we're dealing with invisible forces on camera, so it's our best guess.
Wouldn't it be cool if the wind was visible?
I mean, that's smoke, right? Kind of.
It is kind of. There could be swirly things.
Yeah.
You could say, oh, the wind's going this way.
Well, hey, there's cameras. I'm sure there's some sort of camera out there that's getting a visual on that. Some sort of like, I don't know, okay, now I'm going way out of my depth because I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I do know is that was a crazy way to get 4 pars. Paige throwing to the hazard, big putt, and the rest kind of just going clinical and a couple of missed putts.
Well, hole 12, this can have big swings and scores.
Yes.
The first shot, you can bomb it down there. And then we run into, as you can see, the OB line to the right, to the left.
Long, short, on top of you, underneath you. There's OB everywhere on this one. Now, we keep switching back. 10 was OB, 11 hazard, 12 is OB, and on this one, any shot that goes out of bounds, we saw it from Macy in round 1, you have 2 choices, rethrow or go to the drop zone. So it is very much a big number hole if you can let it get away from you.
Yeah, and the drop zone makes sense for one of your early throws, but not if you go OB in one of your later throws.
Last year we did see the short tee, and you mentioned that really this, backing them up to this tee actually provides a much better challenge as a par 5 instead of the short tee as a par 4. And I think I totally agree with you now after watching a few rounds here. Well thrown.
Valerie, yep, just throwing really nice form. You'd be it would be great to watch Valerie if you were a beginning player just trying to figure out what your form should be.
Absolutely.
She's got a very still body. She doesn't have a lot of extra movement, very efficient.
Her sister, and Mason Ford, all from the same area in Texas. Guess who's also from there? Bradley Williams, one of the cleanest, smoothest throwers of the Frisbee you're going to see. And I think that he's rubbed off a little bit on that whole Texas community because there is that just smooth, efficient form coming out of all of them.
That's a great looking shot from Sarah.
Yeah, hanging it out wide. Not really biting off too much, but set yourself up to where you can get maybe to this neck on your third shot or in your second shot so that the third doesn't have too much OB to throw over.
Yeah, now we start needing to get some accuracy on these shots. And, you know, the OB lines are not very visible, so the women have to rely on their practice rounds and knowing where they landed and what they did.
Heather letting it loose. Looks to be right in the middle of the fairway, not really fringing on that out of bounds. It had some hyzer on the end of it, Elaine.
It did, and of course it's going downhill for her shot towards the OB. So there, Paige gave it lots and lots of momentum.
Maybe a good tree?
That is most certainly a good tree.
That thing had some heat.
It was going in the sidewalk. There's no doubt in my mind
Yes.
that tree hadn't got in front of it. So a really fortunate break for Paige.
Valerie really loving this halo disc. Assume it's maybe a destroyer, but whatever it is, that is her stable disc of choice, for sure.
And you can see here this berm to the right is all out of bounds, and the basket we can't quite see is peeking out the end of it.
Scary shot, but so well executed. Spikes in the little rock pile.
She is going to be so pleased when
Yes.
she sees where that landed.
I know it's always funny. You're throwing over these hills, and you're kind of just crossing your fingers and hope that, there's a little bit of hill down there. You never know what the disc could do.
That be a little too high.
I like this.
But
It's coming
no,
right in.
it isn't. Boy, it's hard to tell where that basket is.
Yeah, I mean, for the players and for us, it's really just, they're picking their spot, they're throwing their hyzer. Unless you're Valerie, then you're just throwing the Nova, though. Unfortunately, a little bit lofty. She's going to have a pretty scary putt coming back.
Just a putter from Paige.
I'm a little surprised we don't see more like zone throws or maybe like an overstable approach disc. She really favors that straight, like catch disc style throw.
She loves her straight flying discs and even slightly understable, which is interesting because she has such power. But we've seen that from a lot of the great players.
No.
Ooh, that checked up.
Gosh,
You
so
see
close.
how downhill it is. But yes, I was saying a lot of the great players do favor some understable discs. Paul Macbeth loves the SS Avenger.
Yes, very true. I would imagine throwing it for some rollers and, oh no. Out of her hand. She's not loving that one, but she's going to have to get on the horse because she's got about another 20 to 25 coming back.
Yeah, she's been a bit hot and cold now, it seems, with the putting.
Great putt. And a good birdie. You've got to take advantage when the course gives you a stroke back like that tree did on her second shot. Valerie. 1, 2, 3, 4 putts within 45 feet.
Yeah, I'm wondering if her early big putts made her feel like she should be going for the putts,
Yeah.
even if she didn't feel particularly comfortable about it. And then when you miss a couple putts, then your confidence can just shrink all of a sudden, especially in these windy conditions, in these conditions of hills behind the basket.
Yes, USDGC and now the Women's Disc Golf Championship really plays so much around these small undulations around the green. There's not huge elevation change, I say, as we're throwing off of a cliffside here, but the small undulations and little bends and necks here are really what can do you in.
And we'll see that on this hole where the women can throw anywhere on the green grass or sidewalk until they get to the street.
Yes.
And at this point, it's an island green.
Hole 13 is playing to the same position all 4 rounds in the FPO division, so is going to play to this shorter pin. If you've been paying attention to the men's side, they kind of rotate rounds 1 and 4 and 2 and 3, but this is just such a good hole. It would be a shame to change it up because this is just fantastic.
I really like the way it sets up. And Paige, as you can see, throwing that understable disc and having it hopefully check up.
Just in time.
That's a great position. Well, okay, I just said it's a great position. Then I realized that big tree might be in her line.
I think she'll be able to finagle something around it, whether it's a sidearm off to the left or, if she has room for the straight shot, she's prone to take that.
And Heather wisely choosing the sidearm to make sure that she won't go too far.
Skip it. Yeah.
And that's a nice position.
I would assume she's, I don't know, I think she might still play it out and around the left side. What do you think? Backdoor?
I think she will. I mean,
Yeah.
it's 722 feet. It's a long way to go for the island green unless you're right up there next to the sidewalk.
Look at Hokum with the backhand, out-driving Heather.
Well, Sarah has a good backhand. She doesn't throw it on all the holes you think she might. She throws it where she's comfortable, and she can use it more probably. It's just a matter of getting enough confidence with it.
That's it, exactly. It's getting the tournament reps, and, it's just, you really want to lean back on what you're so confident in. And with Sarah, it's just usually the sidearm.
And sure enough, Heather playing around to the side, getting a little extra distance with a skip off the sidewalk, and then look, she's just staring at the basket.
Yep.
That's just a short putter shot over.
Sarah opting for the same. And really, if you're not up on that second little hill up towards the road, it is a tough ask to get over the parking lot.
It's a long way, and it doesn't look like it's a long way.
Exactly. It's so deceiving.
So you practice it, and you keep throwing and throwing and throwing and going like, I can't believe I'm not there. It's just right there, but it's just longer than it seems.
Yeah, even Valerie going with this safe out and around shot. I have to think Paige is going to blast it right up the gut. Oh yeah.
The tree is not in her way, so.
Well thrown. That's, whew, had a chance there. It was chain
It
height.
certainly did.
Yeah, we do look at that though. A little bit more juice than she wanted. She's going to have 35 coming back.
You can't short your shot on
No.
the second shot when you're going over out of bounds the whole way.
Nice little Nova approach there from Valerie. Heather looking to do the same, opting for the sidearm.
Yeah, she wants that disc to be traveling away from the OB, not towards it.
A little bit of meat left on the bone, but if I know Heather, she's going to confidently stroke that one in. Paige lining it up. She just has one of the most iconic putt setups in all of disc golf. The little flip over the head, and then it's just engage mode.
She's mentioned to me that she should probably stop swirling the disc because one of these times she's going to drop it and
Oh,
it's going to be a
no.
stroke because it actually leaves her hand multiple times.
Kind of reminds me like the Nate Sexton, how he kind of rotates and flips it. It's like a similar, like, woof, that is you're playing with fire there a little bit.
Yeah, I'm too klutzy. I would drop it for sure.
Heather is able to knock down that par, and I am going to wager a guess that we're going to see 4 straight pars here. Valerie, pretty close.
I don't think you'll get much of a spread on that. Oh, and just as I said that,
I am
Val,
out some cash.
okay, she is officially feeling shaky about her putt.
Yes. The last couple holes, haven't been ideal. 12 had a little bit of a debacle, and that one kind of caps it off. That's not a putt we should be missing here.
And that's such a shame because she had a strong start. Everyone's picked up a few bogeys to this point, and she's got to wipe the memory of that hole out of her brain.
So Valerie took a hot start, but look at Heather staying true to her game plan, 1 under for the round, and now sliding into that second place stop or position. A hole 14 though. Par 3, a little bit shorter on the FPO side, only 261 feet. But you got to make a decision. Do you throw it right around this tree, keep it a little lower, or do you throw the more spiky left side sidearm and just draw it all the way back in?
Paige is electing to go backhand.
Needs the air under it.
Yeah, it's hard. There are 2 trees that are quite close together, and you've got to get the disc high, but it gets skinny when you throw it high.
So you really want to. They're playing at the meaty part of the gap, but it needs that like nose up float to get in there if you're going to throw that low line.
And Heather will be going around to the left, where there's lots of airspace to work with.
Oh, good stop.
Why do people say good stop?
I don't
Maybe it was a
know.
bad stop.
No, well, maybe in this case it might have been. Unfortunately, does catch the tree, and she's going to have a lot of work to do to save her par. She didn't advance too much, and that green is very sloped, and there is hazard everywhere.
Oh, and a mistake from Sarah as well. She's going to cry.
I just love Sarah's attitude. I feel like she's 99.8% awesome and positive, and just like that, you hit a tree on the biggest stage and you still got a smile on your face.
Well, talk about not having to putt.
Yes.
That looks like that's a pretty short one for Valerie. Good for her for bouncing back.
Oof,
Yeah,
compromised
this is
stance there.
tricky. Well, Sarah knows that stance well,
Yeah.
but it's just a matter of not rolling.
Slow.
Stop. On your back.
Ooh,
Yikes.
gosh. So not in the hazard, but about circle's edge to save her par.
That is a long putt, and the basket is so high because she's going to be way low of the basket. So Heather trying to spike that disc in there and stop.
Wow, both of them playing with fire.
Well, I can't help but think the wind could have something to do with it. Because again, we're on that side of the Coliseum, look at the tree behind Heather. I think for both of these women, that disc just carried more than they were planning.
Yeah, the feather banners just ripping in the background.
Yeah, and
Wow.
you
Valiant
don't,
effort.
it was, and I mean, you don't want to throw it short when you're close to the tee, because then you've just got a death putt or
Yeah, straight
know.
at the hazard. So, I mean, honestly, if you're going to miss, though, missing on that low side and still being in is probably your best bet. God, you can just see the angle she's putting up at. It's just straight up there.
Yeah, elevated basket that is above you.
Get it. Oh, huge putt, Sarah. Great par save.
That was an amazing putt.
That's one of those situations where her naturally lofty putt really plays to her advantage. Good cleanup for the bogey there by Heather. Obviously disappointed, but I mean, all things considered, not the end of the world. There's still a lot of golf to play.
I would love to see Valerie just take a deep breath and just look at the chains and just pop it in there. Yeah.
Good putt, confidence building putt, 18, 19 feet. Close enough to where you're real confident, but far enough to where the disc has to fly into the basket and you feel like you accomplished something.
And it's a headwind, as we can see from the flag, so that was a good putt.
Heather taking the bogey, unfortunately, but Valerie back on the horse after 2 rough holes, now is going to have the tee for hole 15, which I think actually really favors the righty backhanders. Just that straight shot is all you're looking for. Just make that triple mando.
And you make the straight shot, and if you're feeling cheeky, you can try to hyzer it in a little bit so you get closer to those guardian trees. The second shot, you need to swing that out to the left in order to have a clear shot at the basket.
The right side of the green is so congested that, ooh, Valerie, come on back. Oh, it dropped short. Good, good, good. Yeah, she knows it. Good tree.
Yeah, you want to be very assertive with your throw, but you can't get wild with it.
Yeah, very true, actually. That's a good point. Confident but controlled. Paige opting for the mid-range. We saw her execute it pretty much perfectly in round 1.
Get down.
She's getting the green still, though, so it looks like it didn't actually make it to the mando. She'll probably have maybe a leaner sidearm, just pitching it through the gap.
Sarah would like to be the first one to get it cleanly through from this group. And her disc is going to fall the wrong way, so she's just looking for a straight shot.
There it is. She's so technical with those drifty right to left, slower discs that she just gets to go so straight for so long.
Yeah, MVP actually has quite a selection of understable drivers, really suiting Sarah's game. And her game has really improved over the past 3 years since she's changed sponsors. And I'm not just saying that because I'm also sponsored by MVP. But, she's found discs that really suit her game.
Ooh, bending it a little bit. Is going to have the green, but she's obviously not that pleased with the drive. Probably going skip shot.
Yeah, that's a nice low skipper.
Ooh,
She'll
love
get
it.
through the trees and have a little bit of work to get up and down for her
Oh my goodness. If we're looking at this is non-optimal from Paige.
Well, it's going to be a pitch out.
Yep. That's about as best as she could do, really.
Heather is not nearly so bad. She can maybe get up and down from there. She gave it a lot of bend.
Oof, dang, finds that little cove of trees, but that was a great release from very compromised footing. Oh, here we go, flick roller. Now I'm inboard.
Style points.
Oh, look at that. I mean, very well executed, too. She's going to have a little bit of left to right coming into the green, but, wide open and
Sarah's
routine.
perfectly lined up with that enormous gap And she is sending it right towards the basket.
Wonderful. On the most congested green on the course, she's got a wide open putt.
Oh, you called it. That is a really, really non-optimal lie. But
Ooh.
she got through. Skip it up there. So there you see it, just outside the circle, and she
Ugh.
might have a straddle.
Well, we saw Owen make a highlight putt through some branches yesterday, so I'm hoping to keep the tradition alive. In round 2, we can
Finally,
find
we're
another.
seeing a sidearm out of Paige. I've been waiting for several tournaments to see her throw a sidearm. She used to
Oof.
throw them all the time, and she's not favoring sidearm these days.
Well, like you said earlier, she really does find herself throwing the understable plastic a lot. So, tends to just keep to that and work the backhand left to right.
Right.
Good little stabby effort there by Heather, but no dice on the birdie save, or par save, I should say.
Yeah, it would have been easier if she was right-handed.
Paige, technical little putt here.
Ah, that one tree branch in her way. And she's going to take a bigger number than she wanted to on this hole.
Yep. No question. She's eyeing down a double bogey. Ooh, here we go. A little highlight putt. Shooting it through the trees is my guess.
Yeah, you like a little through the branches of the trees action?
I do. I play at Golden Gate Park in San Francisco, and so many of our greens have little troll trees and funky little shapes. So
I love putting through the branches. It can actually focus you
Yes.
really well, and line it up, and it reduces the number of variables strangely.
I totally agree. I think on a lot of putts that have a little gap to hit 5 or 10 feet short, it almost makes the putt feel shorter because all you got to do is hit the gap and the disc is going to fall right in the basket.
Hit the gap at that height, and that's all you do, and then the disc takes care of itself.
So we saw Valerie hitting that highlight putt that we were talking about, so she did clean up well. Unfortunately, the double bogey and bogey by Paige and Heather respectively. Paige was really running away from it. Well, now 9 down, she's still a bit of a lead, but the double bogey has brought her back down to earth a little bit.
And what a score separator that hole was. Now for something completely different.
I was thinking the exact same thing. From the thicket of woods, a triple mando, and all sorts of right to left movement, now to hole 16, par 3, 342, and just really right in front of you.
This is probably the hole that causes players the least amount of anxiety.
Yes, that's a great point.
You do have room on the left to land. There is the OB line on the right, but players feel like, I could actually throw something without, clenching the whole time.
Now, at Winthrop tradition, even the least stressful holes still have hazard on the left and right. So it is there, but it's probably less, relevant than a lot of the other holes that we're playing out here.
And that needs to come back in a hurry.
And as we say that, she does find 8's fairway and slides into the hazard that we said was not really going to play an impact on this hole.
Yeah, she just seemed to turn it over just a little bit too much. I'm not seeing a ton of wind action here. We know we're on the leeward side of the Coliseum.
Ooh, bend. That is a sweet-looking shot. Although it does leave her a little bit outside of circle still, and with those trees next to the green or next to the pin, might have to get a little creative on that putt. Ooh. Wow.
I'm just wondering where it
I know.
lands.
I was going to say,
Wow.
quite the unique little tree hit there.
Well,
nose up sputter.
There is some wind because we saw Paige's disc doing exactly the same that Valerie's disc did, but Paige caught something. The wind played with it, and
Ooh.
she's just playing
Yes.
all the
High
all the
entertainment
angles
value
here.
from Paige.
But yeah, Paige was kind of fortunate there.
Oof.
Oh, that was a great run.
Fantastic bid. Valerie almost dropping in the long par save. Oh, everything but in.
In and then it was out.
Sarah Leaner off to the right, looking for the sole birdie. And she finds it. You can tell that was a blind basket. She had to look around the left to see if it was even in.
Did it go in? And she kept her balance, too. She was in the circle. I'm sure she would have loved to have fallen forward, but she had to get the disc up, project it, yet keep her balance. So beautifully done.
Paige able to clean up, kind of stop that bleeding after the double bogey on 15, but is going to drop a stroke to Sarah, who is going to take 2 from Valerie. So, Paige, a little bit of a gap on the rest of the field at this point, but that battle for second, third, fourth, fifth is heating up.
Well, yeah, it's tightened all the way up, and it seems like every single hole is a score separator this round.
I feel like that is Winthrop at its core. There is strokes everywhere, and you can just never give up.
And hole 17 is probably the biggest score separator hole in history. It has ruined potential champions.
Now, you see 2 baskets on your screen. We are playing to the right pin, which is just next to that hay bale. So you got to play it so tight if you want to park it. My guess, we're going to see some safe shots off to the right.
Why would you park it? You're crazy. If you can land within the hay bales, you can do a little dance at that point. And Sarah throwing the Eclipse reactor just a little bit strong. Just needed to be a little bit higher to allow it.
Had the distance okay, but the height, maybe a little more height, give it some chance to come back.
The wind was screaming in the players' faces. I was standing just behind the tee at this point, and I did not want to be throwing this hole. And again, Heather just landing barely out of bounds.
Yeah, catches that little trees out of the tunnel and just never really gave the disc a chance to fight back in bounds. Paige now going to the Crystal Fierce. The Pierce Fierce. She's probably just going to slap it over on Annie and just drop it into the right side. The biggest part is that of the hay bales here. Or ace run.
Now that's a nice safe shot.
Yep.
As you can see, she's so confident in that disc. She knows throwing it in a headwind, it's going to have a slow turn.
And she didn't have to overthrow it. You saw that was just like a nice, easy, breezy shot that just pulled all the way over to the right.
Okay, and Valerie electing for the sidearm. Beautifully done.
Great shot. Now, 18-foot putt never felt so scary when the OB is 3 feet behind the pin, though. So now we can see this drop zone. I think all of our players made the island in our round 1 coverage.
Better height.
Great shot.
Nice.
Good recovery.
And Sarah showed Heather the line that she needs to hit.
Good shot, hanging it out, a little high. Wonderful.
And of course, that circle that we see is the circle for the far basket position. So the players are closer than you'd think. And Paige just lofting it up there, not wanting to mess with throwing it out of bounds.
Big putt here by Heather. Oh, she's so confident on the green. If there's one person that I want taking that putt for me straight out of bounds, I think it might be Heather.
Doubles partner?
Oh my gosh. If I could have someone like Heather to putt for me, game over.
Or game on.
Actually, right, game on. Sarah looking to clean up her bogey just like Heather.
Oh, she needs to hit chain.
Good putt. Hits a lot of them.
That is so scary.
I know.
There's no way you can go for that putt. And if it misses at that height, it's for sure going out of bounds.
Valerie now, the lone birdie opportunity. Oh, who needs a marker? This is very like Macbethian. Just step up, make the putt.
That was low again, but it was high enough.
Yes.
It was high enough.
It's in the bin. Chalk it down as a 2. That's a great birdie.
And Paige's 3 will also be, I'm sure, picking up strokes on the field as such tough conditions.
So the par, the birdie, and bogey, 17 keeps up its tradition as a stroke separator. Sarah now 1 behind Heather, who is, really, they're trying to make their charge to stay on lead card entering round 3.
Absolutely. And hole 18 is going to be a beast because that wind is going to be pushing left to right until we get about here. And there's going to be a different kind of wind because we're going to have a wind break. But look at the angle going down to that basket. It's very scary. And as you were mentioning, the disc landing at the angle of the ground is just so critically important.
Yes, you nailed it. This hole, I feel like, is all about angle control. Whether it's off the tee, the approach, or approaching the green, there's no safety. There's nowhere you can just take a break and chuck a shot.
And Valerie played the wind beautifully. She pushed it as far as she dared to the right with something that was actually a bit stable, which is usually scary, except if the wind is pushing left to right. And she read it beautifully. Paige throwing her understable disc that's not flying in an understable fashion.
And she does find the out of bounds. I mean, she's got some strokes to play with, but nobody's ever excited to throw out of bounds.
Well, you don't want to give it back on hole 18.
No. Sarah.
That was pretty turned over.
Same spot, really, as Paige. Not ideal. OB as well. But I think Paige at least crossed in. Sarah, I don't know if it ever crossed.
And Heather, watching all of that, is going to try to make the adjustment.
Just put it a third of the way up the hill. No reason to get too crazy.
And there, she kept it really flat. Yeah, the
Perfect
problem
shot.
is when you Anheuser something into the wind, it's going to push down on the lip of the disc, and it's going to keep it Anheuser.
Sarah now, like we said, never really crossed in bounds, so is going to have to rethrow.
Yeah, much better. She learned from that first experience.
Left it a little high, but is going to be safe.
Paige did cross in bounds, so she plays her throwing third shot. And isn't it nice when you can just throw a mid-range and put it up the fairway like that?
Really is. She's got such good command of those slow discs, and that's what you need on that shot. Just something that's going to go straight the entire way.
And Heather, nice height control, not getting it too high, in which case it could have a chance to gain too much to the right and get that out of bounds area.
Sarah now really just trying to make forward progress. She's throwing 4 from here. Is looking good. Okay, she's really playing it fast and loose with these OB lines, but both of those shots do look to have fallen safe.
Uh-oh.
Oh, great kick back in bounds. Whew. Hey, chalk one up as a W there and just move on.
Okay, and oh.
That one is, though, out of bounds, unfortunately. This hole is just so tough.
It looks like there's a lot of grass there, but there's such a slope that it's just so hard to control your shot. Whoa.
Wow. Heather just showing the rest of the card how it's done. She just went medium in the middle, right up to the meaty part of the fairway, and just chip it up. She should have a routine tap-in 4. Paigey, a little too aggressive, and that is an opportunity where maybe a more stable approach disc would have been the optimal play there.
Or a bit more angle on it.
Sure.
And Sarah throwing the backhand to get the disc heading in the right direction toward the basket.
That looks like a layup to me, though.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
And Valerie might be on the low side of that basket.
Sarah, will she run it? No, she will not. I mean, that was kind of halfway in between, though, right?
Well, but she has a lofty style.
Yes, very true.
And yeah, Paige isn't having any of putting.
No, I mean, she's got a bit of a lead, so no reason to get too kooky on the green on 18.
And you saw the big jump that Heather's disc took. Leaves her that
Stop. Okay.
a friendly brick
Yes, very much
halts
so.
the disc that wanted to jump over the edge.
And Heather is looking in prime position, as I believe all of these players are eyeing down double bogey, and she's sitting there parked for the birdie.
I incorrectly identified Valerie. Yeah.
It happens.
It was very dark down there, and I think she was wearing purple.
Hey, all those dark colors, they're throwing a lot of shots. This is 3 doubles and a birdie, so, I mean, if you get a little confused out there, hard to argue. 3 sevens on the last hole, though.
Oh my gosh, it's just so disheartening when you mess up your very last hole of the round, but it's a tough hole, and with the wind blustery like it was, the scores were higher today.
They absolutely were, and we are seeing an even out of Paige when she shot 7 down yesterday. Now, nobody really made up any ground, though.
But look at Deanne Carey.
A smoking hot 4 under is going to move her up into that tie for second with Valerie and Heather, who are going to round out our lead card that we will have coming for you tomorrow. Elaine, that was a blast to watch. We've got 2 more rounds until we can crown our final major champion of the season.